school teacher who went on a rampage, this is a true story, in Nievre, that's a French town, from 1970 to 1997 with more than 70 victims. He was eventually sentenced in 2001 to 18 years imprisonment. That's the kind of stuff that Claude Levesque likes to put into his work and into his books. Allusions to pedophilia. So you guys are going to be a little bit shocked right now to learn that regime Macron eventually had to remove this garbage from his office. You see, there's a picture of Macron sitting on this garbage, and they had to remove it in 2021 because the attraction to his artwork became a little bit embarrassing when multiple legal procedures began against Claude Levesque for statutory rape. That came to light in 2021. And ironically, in 2023, the artist Claude Levesque was indicted for the rape of minors when two brothers from that little town in Nievre said that they were sexually assaulted when they were teenagers from him. But no doubt, guys, that's just another oopsie. It's probably just an oopsie from Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron, who knew that the artist who kept putting pedophilic stuff in his artwork was actually going to be charged for the rape of a minor, right? That's crazy. I should mention to you now, by the way, that Emmanuel Macron, who was at first inaugurated in May of 2017, had his presidential portrait done, okay, that's it, and chose an interesting book to include in the background. A book by an author known as Andre Gide, a self-admitted pederast, okay? Now, a pederast, if you are not familiar with that term, according to Merriam-Webster, is a man who engages in sexual activity with a young boy, okay? If you're wondering, how does that differ from pedophilia? The answer is that pederasts are adult men, specifically, who are into only little boys, specifically. So it doesn't include girls. Pedophiles can be into either, as long as they are minors. So Andre Gide was a self-admitted pederast. He's into little boys. Which book did Emmanuel Macron select for his portrait? A book from Andre Gide entitled The Fruits of the Earth in English. Okay? In French, it's Les Nourritures Terrestres. Forgive my terrible pronunciation there. So that's him. That's the book that he chose. If you're wondering what it's about, the book is about how you should lead your family, how you should lead our autobiographical content, all right? It's inspiring younger generation of this speech tradition because he did that. He felt that he did that when, as he adult, he went to Algeria, which was then a French colony, to have sexual experiences with Muslim boys. So in 1894, he was 24 or 25, he traveled to Africa. He met up with boys for a while. And also have homosexual lover, Lord Alfred Davis. These are elites, let's just be clear. We're talking about elites. And then he came back to his country of France, and he felt he had been sexual awakening, he accepted homosexuality, and he raised him with these, saying no to stifling conventions that told him that no, you shouldn't have any attractive feelings. Okay? Now, I'm actually familiar with Andre Gide because I was forced to read his book, The Immoralist, at university. And yes, it is about traveling to Algeria, and which obviously is autobiographical in content. He admitted that he did this, traveling to Algeria, and it is about having sex with Muslim little boys. That's what the book was about, okay? Now, in case you're thinking rationally, let's play both sides of this thing, right? Maybe Emmanuel Macron didn't know that the book was there. Maybe it was just some dumb assistant who grabbed it, which would be in their Oval Office. But maybe it was just some assistant who grabbed it and put it there. Nope. You'd be wrong if you're thinking that. Just not thinking that, okay? Emmanuel Macron has never hidden his affection for Andre Gide. He has spoken about it multiple times, okay? He even once gave an interview to a literary critic, Jerome Garrison, and he said this. He said, and I quote, Gide shows me the path that leads from the cerebral to overflowing sensuality. Now, you see, there was just one journalist that I could find that had the courage to aggressively call out the choice of the president in his portrait, and that journalist's name is Helene Debbie. Here's what she said. I'm going to pull up her quotation here. She said, Andre Gide, to say what? Clumsiness and error are inconceivable in a setting crafted to remain an historic iconography of the country. Inevitably, someone in the presidential entourage, if not the head of state himself, has read Andre Gide's autobiography, C'est le Grand Mémoire, where he tells the story of Queen Mohammed. He wrote, quote, "How handsome he was, half naked under his rags, black and slender as a demon. The writer admires, quote, the slenderness of this child's body, the gracefulness of his bare legs peeping out from under his baggy pants." He describes how he sodomizes the child to his own exhaustion. 2 years later, he watches his friend Daniel sodomizing Muhammad, now a teenager. What message did the young and dashing president of the French Republic send with this photo posted on the walls now of school town halls? What should we understand? That pedocriminals in the presidency? Fantastic questions, Elaine. What should we understand the fact that Andre Gide is still taught, by the way, in American classrooms, and that he was awarded a post-mortem Nobel Prize in Literature? I guess we should just understand the receipts, right? The receipt again for the couple. This just keeps happening. Then there is the case of Olivier, is a former French member of the European Parliament. Unbelievable how for anybody tells us getting much higher than this. He's particularly in the French circle. He is first to get behind when you read stories about him, he's like so powerful that this nuclear quiet part of God. He's a guy that can walk inside and doesn't get okay? He got behind him right away in several campaign meetings and having passing notes to Macron. And when Macron qualified for the second round of the presidential election, he celebrated next to Macron at a restaurant called and after he won, he used his magazine, which is called Was, to compare Emmanuel Macron to General de Gaulle. So again, this magazine is owned by Olivier Dumont. He was just doing the press and propaganda on how amazing Emmanuel Macron was, defending him against any media critics. Olivier Dumont would also host his meetings at the Élysée Palace and the marriage match, and to aid Emmanuel Macron's advice on how to navigate the public sphere, specifically one which involved Deputy Chief of Staff by Alexander Bell in the summer of 2018. Dumont was also present at lunch, where Brigitte Macron handpicked the French Prime Minister. Again, we'll get into that. Brigitte and the Prime Minister Brigitte, which led the public to ask questions about what Brigitte and Dumont had in common, how they knew each other. So I have to imagine that for Emmanuel Macron, it really came as another oopsie for the couple when in January of 2021, Olivier Dumont's stepdaughter, a woman named Camille Coucher, published a book and publicly accused him of having sexually abused her twin brother, Antoine Kushner, when he was 13 or 14 years old. Lamont, again, that's the equivalent to the French New York Times, the ones who wrote the story. Now, according to Camille's book, which is entitled in English, The Big Family, La Famille Grande, the rapes took place at Olivier Dumont's summer residences, one called Mas de Ginés d'Or in Sonnery-sur-Mer, forgive me for this terrible French, where apparently generations of the Dumont clan had entered England, basically the cream of the crop of the French intelligentsia, whose morals were now being exposed publicly by her. One of the publications, La Nouvelle, publication in France, wrote, quote, "In the evenings, kids sometimes have to act out sex scenes in front of their parents." This is what was taking place at Dumont's residences. They go on to write, "One evening, the teenagers are asked to tell how they lost their virginity. On another, mothers dress their 12-year-old daughters in provocative outfits, smear them with lipstick, and send them off to dance with men that are 30 years older." Paris Match wrote, quote, "Hardly anyone is offended to see Camille, then just a teenager, being asked to simulate an orgasm in front of the adults." Now, regarding this, you're probably wondering, was he brought to justice? Or maybe you're wondering, hey, maybe she's not telling the truth, right? Maybe she just made it all up for attention. This is a powerful guy. Oh, lucky for Olivier Dumont, statute of limitations had already expired, so he was never brought to justice. But in mid-April of that same year, it was reported in the French media, and you can fact-check this on Wikipedia, that he admitted to it. He admitted that he sexually abused his stepson. I don't know, guys. Just another oopsie in the Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron orbit that keeps coming up. Now, I am giving you not even the surface of what it is that I know about this couple, okay? This literally is an introduction because everything that I am saying I know the English world has never heard. Which should make you go, what the hell is wrong with our media? What the hell is wrong with our media that when I began to try to report on this story, they came for me? They started paying me as Adolf Hitler. They started canceling it. They wanted me to get fired. I was fired. It was in March that I first reported of last year on the story, and it was in March of the same exact year that I got fired from my former employer. And nonstop, I've been fighting the press since. And by the way, you should know that there is this strange case of what happens to every journalist who tries to touch the story. First and foremost, Isabella Ferreira, I think I mentioned this on a past episode. She was one of the Jean Gilets, the Yellow Vests people who began prodding into the story as an independent journalist, happened upon some huge information pertaining to the relationship of Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. But then she was found dead. She was found dead floating in a river, and her friends said that she didn't kill herself, but the media said she most definitely did, that she must have slipped and fell after she took a lot of pills. So that kind of stuff happens, I guess. Then there is Natasha Ray, who the media has been lying on, attempting to ruin her entire life. She has cancer. She was an independent journalist. This is the one that Brigitte Macron notoriously sued, and similarly to what they sent in a letter, was not over the substance of the claim that Brigitte Macron was born a biological male, but rather pertaining to errors of misspeak when she spoke to Amandine Roy, who was similarly sued for invasion of privacy. Okay? And then there's one man still left standing, and that is Xavier Broussard. Xavier Broussard is the person that I am so honored to introduce to you guys on Monday. He is a journalist who has been diligently working on this, whose work I am repeating. Really, I feel blessed that he even selected me to be able to bring this to the public, that he trusts me with this story. Xavier Broussard has been working on this for 8 years and has given up everything, including his home country of residence, because, well, how did they come after Xavier Broussard? Looked into his finances, found who was funding his publication, and decided that it would be a really good time to go through a 2-year audit. One of the government's preferred ways of harassing someone is getting the IRS out there and finding the crime in any way possible. And so Xavier Broussard was dropped from the people that were investing in him. He had to move his family. His mother's house was searched just to scare them and to intimidate them and to let them know that they were watching them. And to this day, Xavier Broussard, the man who originally dropped the 6-part series exposing the fact that Brigitte Macron was lying about her identity, has never been sued for defamation because his work has been thorough, and he has now brought me up to date on his work, and I will be just as thorough in this assessment, you guys. Everyone is paying a consequence, and the purpose of them having sent me a letter was certainly not because they thought that I was suddenly going to drop this story, but maybe because they were trying to intimidate me to think that they would do those things, that they would come for me, they would come for defamation, because they are a part of an older world where these insidious people have this sort of power to really traumatize, to go after, and to destroy people that hit at their real power. And make no mistake, Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron come from a circle and a syndicate of real power, old money power. But it is a new world, okay? And I am telling you that if we do not have more courage across the world, and all across the world, we're going through this awakening to stand up to these freaks, okay? To stand up to people who think that they get ordained to go through scandal after scandal after scandal of pedophilia, to not have to answer for their bizarre background.
Definitely, I was just telling him about the videos I made and stuff and how it went, and he's like, bro, to be honest, I don't care. I don't want to talk to you about this stuff at all, bro. I'm so pissed off about what happened in retrospect. I even set a boundary saying no more voice messages. So I'm not listening to anything you sent in voice message, and you can't even respect that boundary. I was like, okay, bro. I was driving, so it's safer to say it than try to text it for me and other people. But hey, you got it. I'm falling back, and then I just restricted him. So if he says anything, I won't know. He can't see when I'm online. And yeah, he's such a loser. He is such a loser.
out and the things that they are into do not even have to answer basic questions about their biological sex, if we do not have the courage to stand up to these people who put terrorists on their desks to laugh at us as they take their presidential portraits because they deem themselves to be the untouchables, what world will we be leaving for our children? I have now 3 sons. And so I say it and I mean it, that I really hope they file that lawsuit. I really hope that Brigitte Macron ordains himself so bold as to arrive into the great state of Tennessee with all of his perverted thoughts about little boys. I really hope so. I really hope that the bravery of Xavier Broussard and what I'm willing to stand up to inspires everyone around the world to understand that something very dark and something very demonic is going on. And we haven't even gotten into the story of Brigitte Macron. Who Brigitte Macron actually is, what it is that Xavier Broussard uncovered about Brigitte Macron, why it is that Xavier Broussard, who has been in court trying to get documents from these people, even when he wins the cases, still cannot get a photo released to him of Brigitte Macron being drugged out at school. And I'll be honest, we don't have school photos of the First Lady. We can't get our hands on it. Why Xavier Broussard cannot get his hands on Brigitte Macron's alleged brother, I believe Brigitte Macron is, why we can't get our hands on Jean-Michel Trogneau's military records. It's literally bonkers. And like I said, what I told you today is the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get so much darker, it's going to get so much deeper. And their involvement, again, in these regular means of pedophilia, pederasty, incest, lies, and trying to thug people in courts. You will never stop seeing it. So, ladies and gentlemen,
It's way more than that. He knows he's wrong, and instead of admitting that he's wrong and admitting that he told me the wrong information, as if I cared that much, he'd rather do this. And this is, all this started because I said, hey man, I can't get this on, like gyro flow isn't working, like it's not doing the right thing. And he said, oh, do you have it on this? I said, bro, I have it on wide, I have it on 4K, 60 frames per second, and I have it on 619. And he's like, oh, bro, you gotta have it on 4.3. I'm like, bro, just the other day you told me 619, but it's cool. It don't matter. This footage is dope. And then he was like, bro, that's what we're not finna do. You're not gonna blame me for your footage. Nigga, wasn't nobody blaming you. But, yeah, I'm calling out what happened. You told me the wrong thing. You were the one who used gyro flow first. You were the one who was like, I've been editing and using these tools for years. This, and that. I didn't even know what aspect ratios were for real, like what the difference was. Nigga, I wish it was sent in a text message instead of just said on the phone, because then I'd have receipts for it. But instead of being like, okay, alright, my bad, bro. That's all he had to say was my bad. He just like threw a tantrum and then stopped talking for days. Then I kept hitting him up. He didn't say nothing. And I'm like, hey, bro, you good? Like, I'm just checking on you. And then he blew the fuck up on me today. Excuse me, Lord. Blew up on me for checking on him. Oh, you're not going to pretend. You're not going to sit here and gaslight. You Bro, what are you talking about gaslight? When did I gaslight? All right, bro. You got it. And then, unlike him, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll be the bad guy. You were right. I was wrong. I was jealous. I was this. I was, even though that's not the case. Like, now what? Now what do you have to be mad about? If that's what you was mad about, what is there to be mad about now? Well, there is nothing. Bro, you literally told me you left to work early to go buy a drone that I told you to go buy after I had already told you to go meet with Shane and buy his. And then you lied about it and said that you weren't doing that or that's not what happened, even though that's what it was. You didn't know anything about drones until the night we spoke, and then I literally said, I'm going to go buy this drone from this shop, and they only have one left, and then I'm going to go buy this one off Facebook from this kid named Shane for Bay. This nigga gonna ask, what shop? Why? So you could go snake it, bro? Like, that's literally all, bro. Yeah, come on, stop. So you're trying to snake stuff, trying to steal ideas, trying to steal company names, trying to steal literally everything, and then you purposely go out of your way to try to steal the drone that you knew I was trying to buy back. That's cool, whatever, it is what it is, go get it. You got the money, I know right now, it is what it is, don't care. Then I send you 14 other About-A-Two kids on Facebook. 14 other About-A-Twos. You're like, nah, bro, I'm not going to go buy any of those. It's better off I just find my own and buy one brand new. And then you go buy it off Facebook and then lie about it. Then you blow up on me about me asking for my property back that I let you use for the sole purpose to edit my videos, not yours. And then you blow up on me about that. Then you apologize, this, and that. And then you blow up again because you told me the wrong information, bro? Okay, cool. Then you bring up the fact that I was like, you need to have the DJI Avata app to fly. No, you don't. Hey, you're right, you don't. And I was wrong about that. Oopsies, made a mistake. I'm a human. It happens. See? Real simple. But you can't do that because you're too dang prideful and your Leviathan's popping out. Well, stop sending me voice messages. Why? Because it's easier for me to get my point across and it's very clear and everything else. And then, you can't ignore it. Is that why? Is that why? Because it's no different than talking to me in person. Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, sure. So I send you a voice message tonight because I'm not going to text while I'm driving. I'd rather say something. And you're like, see, you disrespectful. You can't even respect the boundaries I set with no voicemail. Bro, I was driving. It was safer for myself and others, but you only care about boundaries. You know what? That's cool. You got it. And then that's when I went dark on them. That's when I went dark on them. Yeah, way too old for this. Way too old for this. Way too old. Way too old. I can't talk to him about God. He don't want to hear about God. He don't want to hear about nothing. Because he thinks he's so smart and so much better than everyone else. Alright? Like, dude. I was trying to tell him, he's like, man, I can't forgive myself for snitching on people that I snitched on to save myself. I'm like, nigga, let that go. Who cares? Nigga, what? Just nothing. He don't want to hear nothing. And so, hey, look, you got it, bro. I am out of your life. You don't have to worry about me anymore.
This has made it clear to the English-speaking world why this is important. I am telling you that all across the world we are beginning to wake up to this, and I certainly won't be the person that backs out from this fight. I think younger generations, we are ready for the
Really fucked up, John.
side, and to allow there to be true light in this world. Alright guys, I'm going to read some of your comments. I do want to first tell you, obviously, regarding those DDoS attacks, I know some of you guys are not able to get into your accounts. We're receiving updates. We should have this resolved in a couple of hours. We believe that when we initially announced this series, we said that it was only going to be on CandaceOwens.com, so they waited an hour before to start attacking the website, and we are going to fight back. We were able to see all of these DNS inquiries, a lot coming from France. And by the way, guys, if you want to support our work, I'm telling you, we are fully independent now, so please take a second to check out the new website. You can donate if you want to. You can sign up for a membership, which I hope you want to, and sign up for a membership and join our book club, all the things that we have going on. And I also, before I get into your comments and see what you guys have to say, I want to thank American Financing, remind you guys that this is a tremendous time that the average person is finding themselves or finding it really difficult to pick up with monthly expenses. In most cases, there was little left at the end of the month to cover any extras. Most Americans are not getting a big raise. Expenses are up, and it's very hard to manage without using credit cards. So if you're a homeowner and you are frustrated with that cycle, I need you to make a 10-minute no obligation phone call today to my friends at American Financing. They're carrying a credit card balance each month with the rates in the 20s or even the 30s. American Financing should your partner equity to work and use the asset. There's no basic rich consultants are saving their customers an average of $800 a month. And if you get started today, you may not even have to make these mortgage payments. There are no upfront fees, so it will cost you nothing to find out how much you could be saving. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. It's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens today. All right, guys, let's get into some of your comments. Wow, we have 135,000 people that are watching live. That is incredible, all across the world. To the French people, the French world, we will make sure that we put French subtitles on everything. We just can't do that during a live show. But of course, we will make sure that you watch your English accents and speaking, just French speaking, also just English speaking. I also get to hear that this interview with Xavier uses weekend to understand how they interested in you and make sure that you're prepared for it next time. Okay, what do we have? And I also want to say, by the time I am done with this series, I am going to be calling out all the absolute frauds in the media of the Western world who have worked to defend what they knew was a network of disgusting sexual crimes that were happening, and not a single media came to the aid when I was saying I'm trying to expose what's happened for a crime. Rather, they smeared me and they libeled me and they tried to protect me. They said I was a part of psychosis. Okay, these people are part of the state, and they are trying very clearly to protect the state from criminals. That's what I truly believe. People like Mary Weiss, formerly of the New York Times, and started independent freedom press, one of the first people who tried to use like freeing jujitsu to make it seem like I was the one going crazy because I noticed some trends of pedophilia in France. Like how sick and disturbed is Mary Weiss have to be, the free press, okay, to defend this. Now that you have just even gotten the tip of the iceberg here, think about what she was willing to defend and what she wanted to destroy. Ask yourself why that is. She's not the only one. Coming for all of them by the time you're done with this series, there'll be no frauds left in media that you guys will not recognize anymore. Sorry, it's a little bit of rant. I got pretty fired up there thinking about how disturbing it is that we can't even agree on protecting children. Fiona Yellow writes, Happy Lunar New Year. Thank you so much for your hard work and your courage is admirable. Support from Hong Kong. Wow, that might actually be the furthest that we've gotten support from. I usually don't see trending here. Celine Giuliano writes, just a donation. Thank you so much. Sarasota writes, these people are sick and have been getting for too long. I spent their souls, these demons, and put their and it's Canada, you are first. So that's my Christ, the truth of the girls. Christ is king. This is what I'm trying to say. Christ is king. It was why I just started reading it even more so last year because I realized that, you know, you can decide to sell your soul to the devil. It will be a cheap sale, and you get up in the morning and you can do what you do, and I guess not be destroyed or attacked in media. Or you can decide to fight on the spin price and fight to expose what is happening and essentially lose everything. The everything is not real. None of that is real. None of that is substance. And to see now that people and you guys just stood by me through all of it. Is their attacks. I just couldn't thank you guys enough. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, from me and my team. Sandra Tipper writes, Candace's apps is about to cook. It is always better to have questions that cannot be answered than to have answers that cannot be questioned. Said a wise person. Well Fawn writes, Candace the Fearless. Thank you. BJE writes, Handcuffs in. I love you and your strength. Stand tall. Halcyon writes, I almost missed the live for shame on me. Way to go, Lady C. We love you. Brian Schwartz writes, your show, Candace, is dramatically improving in leaps and bounds. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Intelligent Observer, I gotta give it to you. You're a better intel analyst than I ever was. So into my notes for you. Jason writes, hi, Candace. I've been watching you since your old solo YouTube days. Thank you for super fun to thank you and support your work. Keep it up. God bless you and your family. No, really, guys, thank you so much. And I know there have been people who've been so concerned about like our safety and stuff. We did up on security for this time being after getting a letter from Macron and some things that we know about their network. And all right, guys. So we delayed the second installment of the Becoming Virginia series after we announced that we were going to air the episode on our Candace Owens website. We underwent extensive DDoS attacks all weekend. Essentially, our servers were being overwhelmed. And yesterday evening, we received a second strongly worded letter from the Elysee Palace. She's passed the form. This time it's a very brief letter, which we are going to show you in its entirety later in the show. What can we say other than Macron's sure are not behaving like a couple of
I'm headed to Seoul.
why they are behaving how they are. She's serious.
Be careful. Losing a friend like you would be. I mean, it's just the way that I'm rambling a bit on her. Let's leave it there for now, yeah. I'll see you soon.
So a lot of people were wondering with the first installment of the entry of this series, why are the French people allowing this to happen? How could they allow all of these things to happen? And you're probably wondering how she and if anything essentially this shit even there weird stuff in their country. How is it that they managed to study the campaign she went essentially to the presidency, and even though this is all it's been like the kind of press sure as a senator, he did politics, sent into presidency, it's just many except for very several decades older than him. He appeared in this She's at that time was a teacher of the same school, ran the theater. She was in fact 39 years old at this time. Married. Was a safety in there. Is this Emmanuel Macron? Okay. Actually, wants to live since her feelings too much and give her friends to live down and leave her leave. Of course, this is objectively a very creepy story. They sell it to the answer is always is a very intense. Magazine was saturated with all this big speed, still in the post, something region specialist image, only narrative, very manual from solutions and virtual students, and we say American proposal, teacher leads, dynamic and as a triumph over gourmet rights. Previous episode was a great pleasant voice and we were about this. Despite this, he would cause out this Paris launched the magazine as its first ever goals that one day in her words, everything secretly changes. She intends to it's already got this evil Recognize it to be so. Those are to say, no, there's something very wrong with this picture. Anyways, no less than 16 newspaper covers were dedicated to me in the business 26 months. Paris Match was a far date dedicated 13 covers to Brigitte. Now, I would refer to that as sort of psychological strategy of oversaturation, right? If you give the public so much information, whether it's true or false, it becomes immediately implausible to the average person that there might be something hidden, right? Because there's so much information, it becomes sort of the media bystander effect. If so many people are covering the story, then the story must be covered. It's already covered. There's nothing left for us to learn. So then I'll tell you the official legend that was established about Brigitte Macron in these early days by the media. It is as follows. First and foremost, they told the public that the age gap between them was that he was 17. They tell us that in 1953, on April 13th, 1953, ironically the same date that the MK Ultra program came into existence, Brigitte Trudeau, maiden name Trudeau, was born in Amiens. She was the youngest daughter of a family of confectioners, prospered in northern France. Then they tell us that after a strict Catholic education with the Sacred Heart Sisters in 1970, she was 21 years old. They married a man named Henry Louis Zeno. They were married to in her footsteps, Brigitte Gaussier began a career as a press officer. And
like good.
First born Sebastian in 1975, a son. Then they had Lawrence, a daughter, who was supposed to be born about the same age, and he was in school with him. They had her in 1977, and then which is quite interesting. They had her allegedly in 1984. And then the story goes that after becoming this press officer and working there at the Chamber of Commerce, she decided to switch to teaching at some point in the mid-1980s. First in Strasbourg as a literature teacher at the Lucy Berger Protestant College, then, of course, at the Jesuit College back in her native Amiens. Because her and Macron are from the same place. So in 1991, she went back there, and of course, while she was there, she fell head over heels in love with a brilliant student, Emmanuel Macron. Now, this entire story was being painted absolutely with pictures, right? And so, as the press was selling this, they tried to get readers to imagine that Brigitte was just irresistibly sexy and hot, right? Like she was this 1980s pinup doll. It was unbelievably like a Sonia Schiffer type. This is the image they were trying to paint in their head. Like she's older now. You had seen her. Emmanuel Macron saw her. She was like a pinup, and she was wearing short skirts. They talked about how she used to wear skirts and how all the boys were just drooling over her. All of these boys who happened to be going through puberty at the school, fantasizing about this hot Claudia Schiffer type teacher. And of course, the brilliant virtuoso Emmanuel Macron and her then began this sort of clandestine affair. Years later, 2006, recognizing that she was hopelessly in love with Emmanuel Macron. She made a huge decision to break up her family by divorcing her husband, Andre Louis Baker, and marrying her former student, Emmanuel Macron, just a year later in 2007. Yeah, that's the legend that was established by the media. And to control the public image of refugees, the couple brought in, well, a woman known as Michelle Latino. She was by for short. This woman I'm showing you right here on the left-hand side, walking next to Brigitte. And she is known as the hope of celebrity press. The focus of celebrity press. To that cross meeting. Talking about this whole PR purpose, you know, they're at the top. She will break you down if she needs to. You can see all sorts of trust she's been involved in. She has been accused of using tactics of blackmail, scourging, looking at that fix. And her task was to essentially flood the public with these hyper-selective films of the wannabe presidential couple in airbrush and fabulous. So just sell this idea and weird happening from the past. And so media was able to enjoy essentially near exclusivity on Brigitte's image through her photo agency, which is the best image you'll find. As we get deeper into the series, you yourself are going to fall down this hole, and you're just looking for photos and trying to verify things about Brigitte's path, and you're going to see the photo that a lot of these photos say best image. Yes, that is Mimi Marchand's photo image business. It means Mimi was in this image. Now, as far as the conversations that had CEO and chairman January last year. Yes.
A bit overkill. You look ridiculous. Prefer if you didn't, Maybe let's not do that again. Give it your best shot. Someone didn't kill me good enough.
Xavier in the 19th.
Maybe let's not do that yet. Gotcha. Mercy kill. What is happening in your Give it your best shot.
When did that fall? That's the question.
It was revealed that Mimi's girlfriend was solid CBTRB's name and the space space.
Where's my sword?
Space manager of Children's Entertainment Company.
You wish you could control me.
And again, beyond this
Best life in the underworld. Don't like that one thing. You wish you could control me. You look ridiculous.
No.
Find a new meal song.
Because it's pictures now together. That's the house, one of your shivers. Again, wait a second. It just makes a bunch of lies. The answer, of course, is going to be yes. But I did first get into showing you a letter that we received yesterday from Jacob from Anthony Daniel Buckrow. The first I read that letter in its entirety. I'm going to throw it to one of our sponsors, Good Ranchers. He was defiant from the very beginning. I absolutely love Good Ranchers. I've this over 85% of grass-fed beef exports, and that is because the country of origin legally laws from the 2015. So now we can be packaged here in the U.S. and made from the USA. They will go into this. We're raised and harvested overseas. The truth is, much of the meat on the grocery store shelves is things like foods and antibiotics, especially when you're in seed oils. Ranchers back home, chicken away to life. Your meat is born, raised, it's harvested right here in the USA, so you know it's satisfying. It's free from hidden additives, no antibiotics ever, no added hormones, no seed oils. And also check out the exclusive Kim Scollins box with the anti-pick selections. Support my show, and you can really support American ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com/again, this is 2 shows today. Right now, Good Ranchers is running their New Year and New Year promotion, so you and your family can easily get the quality that you deserve. Subscribe to any of their boxes and get free ground beef, chicken breasts, or salmon everywhere from here. Plus, you get $25 off if you use my code Candace at checkout. That's high quality clean protein every order, delivered to your door for an entire year. So visit goodranchers.com today and don't forget to use my code Candace and clean your fridges. It's yet another 10 mistakes in authorizations. Say that, we're going to have never deputation. We know you're paying. So let's jump into the story. Hopefully, to you, referencing and what we said there to seriously, it starts with this is regarding, and of course, it's important or confidential, not for publication or attribution. It really feels that. Then they say it's regarding false and defamatory statements of presidential Emmanuel Macron and Virginia Macron. They say we write it down on behalf of our client's president, and this is Macron. This is the last time I think we're here really about sheets. We were disappointed. Your January 16, 2025 response to our December 3rd, 2024 letter, despite our warnings and with full knowledge of their falsity, your client has doubled down on her defamatory allegations. We're going to get to those, and indeed expanded the scope of her defamation. We had wanted to spare some of the embarrassment of openly confronting her false claims, but instead of doing the right and responsible thing, it seems she relishes in the public attention. So basically, they wrote me the first single threat to spare me, guys. They were just like, we want to help you, let you know it's something you said wrong. And so this letter is warning to you how kind of this couple truly find this in their heart. Let's keep reading. Since our letter, Ms. Owens has published several ex-posts and additional podcasts regarding further defaming the Macrons. To the extent that the Macrons' claims suffered from any of the legal deficiencies you pointed out in your letter, which they did not, Ms. Owens has eliminated any doubts about such claims and strengthened them with her new statements, most egregiously. On January 13th, 2025, Ms. Owens falsely implied that the Macrons were responsible for the death of a journalist investigating them.
Right. That's
Okay,
it.
let's pause there. She
It's
guys
all
so
listed.
they're just
Find
trying
out
to,
done.
and they're just you that every journalist that tries to touch this or something happens to it, right? And it is a fact. It is a fact. We're working on Mr. Brown had a message, according to her friends, saying that she had a bombshell about Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. The French press has reported on this, and then she was found dead, floating in a river, okay? Or a pond, whatever it was, and the public said that she had drowned, and her friends said that she was not suicidal, and the public, the press said that she had maybe taken some pills. I don't remember what the point is nowhere in the first episode did we say that Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron assassinated this girl. We told you what happened, okay? Let's keep reading here. That incendiary implication is factually false, offensive, and incredibly damaging. Ms. Owens repeated this false claim on January 31st, which is the very first2025, and false. The implication is just instead of stating applied it by stating that she, meaning me, did up on security after getting a letter from Macron, and because of things that we know about them, that things are happening, like I said, every journalist that tries to get this out. Yes, that is, and that is not a lie, that is the truth. We have upped our security because it's getting into the chat, saying get yourself some good security, and of course when you have people walking around your property with young children, and you understand the extent of the stakes that are in this, getting and upping up your security, that is my right. Okay, that you don't get to tell me that I can't tell the public the truth about that. Let's keep reading to see what they're upset about. In another outright lie, Ms. Owens has repeatedly stated that the Macrons admitted Mrs. Macron statutorily raped President Macron in our December 3rd letter. That is a complete fabrication, as no fabrication in our December 3rd letter or anywhere else. Note the controversy showed exactly what was done. You admitted, and even in November was 15, you admitted that Brigitte was 39, and we said out to the public. That is therefore an admission that it is statutory rape because the laws at that time stated that there could be no consent if the adults had authority over the child. And given the fact that that was a teacher and Emmanuel Macron was 15 years old and not of the age of consent, that would constitute statutory rape. So we didn't say that you wrote that this is statutory rape. We said that you admitted to it, whether knowingly or not, by saying what I believe to be the first time asserting in writing that their ages were 39 and 15. And to be clear, we are asserting that their ages were actually, in fact, 39 and 14, because 14 years old undeniably was the age in which Emmanuel Macron participated in that play. Let's keep reading. Your client's recklessness in making these false and damaging assertions is staggering. It goes on. You spend most of your letter discussing actual malice, but the well-documented evidence of actual malice is including your claim is moving that into that record. Statements and receiving everything. As played out in December 3rd, 2024 letter, Ms. Owens relies on racially unreasonable inherently improbable conspiracy theory, despite the evidence refuting its truth. Ms. Owens claims she's a journalist, but repeatedly disregard journalistic standards with reporting. She also continues to break the company's lies on audio. Business media, and even recently stated that she was selling a t-shirt mocking Mrs. And just as Ms. Owens claims that she does not have to credit the process, similarly will not be obligated to credit her police based on fraud evidence to prove it was working out. So they're saying literally a lot of nothing here other than it's been fraud. Conspiracy theory only have to take this price. James Umbrella was worthy by a lot for baby. We are selling these stats as a joke. They don't do that. Regina Umbrella gave birth to their names here. We are Since receiving our letter, Ms. Owens has supplied us with its reaction is over that. Since receiving our letter, Ms. Owens has supplied us with evidence of her reference to the truth, actual since first reentry around Ms. Owens received a written notice of the ethics of claims in our 2024 beginning to use double data and expand her lives. She has refused to retract any of the mandatory claims. Ms. Owens also would the entire letter refused to present evidence with substantive evidence refuting her claims. It's the obvious attempt to find the beliefs in effort to hide the truth and the obvious issues. So essentially what they're saying is we sent you a 100-page letter and we went over everything that the damage substance is related of man, yes or no, biological male, yes or no, machine pure biological, yes or no, and sort of in polarizations of photos, and they're actually going to list the two things, again, that needs to be conducted here, they're going to list parts of the letter that were in their initial letter, that sense of so you're going to see exactly their pattern of now addressing substance and moving to nitpick things that they say are factual. So let's keep this letter. It goes, Miss Owens mistakenly believes that her false statements about are protected by freedom of speech and religion. These things that we those terms laws to prove those terms relevant. Defamation is not inspected for religion because there is no constitutional value in false statements of fact in this lawsuits. Thus, Ms. Owens cannot allege here constitutes an accusation that she knows has no evidence behind it as a fact to fit her desires. And then this amendment, the defamation claim premised in Firt area on Ms. Owens' claims that the groups are involved in a satanic cult does not implicate any of this there's never such that it exists. So they're saying here this idea guilty as charged they did send in their first letter about me saying, speaking about satanic and false, finally they were in a satanic cult, and they're saying that is defamation. So what I'm saying is about satanic cults is a defamation, and they're asking me to be remember I'm saying I'm not doing that as a Christian. Okay, I know that satanic cults do actually exist, and for them to allege that I said that they wouldn't exist, that they don't exist, is absolutely insane and a violation of my rights. So now I'm going to go on that. I'm going to go line that I just did tell you guys. I'm speaking about my viewpoint and the viewpoint of many that the Olympic ceremony was satanic. Yes, that even the main participants are butch and lesbian in the sense that laughed about the New Testament in her Instagram story and then pulled it down. You don't get the grace to tell me that you're stupid for defamation Because I'm talking about Satanism in a context that makes you uncomfortable since you can't tell Michelle Obama's performance. My answer is no. So let's keep reading your letter. It's the other points that you feel like take it away. Okay? Likewise, the remaining false claims made by Ms. Owens are not based on religious beliefs just because shooting used to reach your it's going to never miss. So they were trying to eat phones. Your equally ridiculous explanation to excuse Ms. Owens' false statement from legal liability, the statements are supposedly rhetorical and verbally also failed. So on this next portion, my lawyer wrote out to that because they said another defamatory claim was me saying that Megan Markle was a psycho. And they're alleging that that is defamation. Again, none of this is about the substance of the abuse, man. But we're going to give you what their response to is that. First, if Ms. Owens sincerely believes in what she says, what she repeatedly claims, statements were not rhetorical hyperbole, statements that consist of rhetorical hyperbole, vigorous epithets, loose figurative or hyperbolic language are protected because they cannot reasonably be interpreted as stating actual facts about individuals. Ms. Owens cannot simultaneously take the position that she believes the truth of her defamatory assertions and that those statements are exaggerations that no reasonable person takes seriously as statements were fact. If anything, this nonsensical argument and letter only further demonstrates that Ms. Owens deliberately distorts the truth for shock value to her audience, a further admission of her malice and financial incentive to make decisions. Moreover, the context of her statements flatly discredits the notion that Ms. Owens was not seriously maintaining an assertion of actual facts, but naturally Ms. Owens repeatedly asserts that she had provided facts and recently noted the trove of evidence of her false beliefs. Ms. Owens stated this clearly eliminated any doubt that she was engaging in rhetorical hyperbole when she claimed on January 10, 2024, that she is exposing what she deems to be the truth. Previously, she made the defamatory assertion that Ms. Owens was a psychopath, citing research supposedly supporting her allegation and claims that this is current sexual abuse of President. Trying to enter a psychopath. With her claiming to expose the truth that is contemporary research, no reasonable listener could possibly believe that Ms. Owens was engaging in rhetorical hyperbole, not meant to be taken seriously. So I'm showing you this one, this understand. This is the exact strategy that they have put on after reporters. Okay? In France, you see, so to speak, she's defamation claim. It's never about whether or not she from this man. She's never won that ever. It's always about this person is identified. Photo, she's saying that they don't want to single that she is the credentials and is she able to take no and if they win and they get like civil harassment charge, then their media, which explained to this episode how they control that media, pushes for it that thinks she wanted information to. And you heard them once the title of it simply asserts that Brigitte Macron was in fact for a female. You heard them assert that Brigitte Macron did not, currently transition no, into petty little claims. This is just the end of a letter here. I'm not holding anything from you. Let's keep going. And yes, it is true. All of these things were in their first letter about him being a psychopath. Without close. They wrote that your claim that Macron, that the scores were damaged by your client's false statements, is further belied by the statements of your January 16th letter. Your words Candace is an international sensation. Thank you, lawyer. Thank you. I like that. Her false claims have reached an international audience. The views, the likes, the comments, and downloads, the shares of her false statements reflect her illusion of Miss Owens' fabrications are believed and repeated. It is self-evident that Miss Owens' proliferation of these false claims resulted in impairment of reputation and standing in liquidity, personal humiliation, mental anguish and suffering. Suffering so much so, ladies and gentlemen, provides a quote justice information, sir. The basic question of your asking. Are you Brigitte Macron? Were you Brigitte Macron? Or a biological influencer? Answer. No, please stop with these letters. Please. It always wraps up by them demanding this lastly, your large knowledge of demand for your convenience in here. So these issues are resolved. Please ensure that your principals and all of your sources are preserving and retaining emails, messages, audio, visual recordings. Yeah, okay, dummy, it's all here on YouTube. Okay. Oh, what do you think we're hiding? We've already asserted what we think. I've said it 1,000 times. I believe Brigitte Macron was born a biological male. Okay? And then transitioned into a female. That is my belief. I don't know if I can say it. What do you think you're gonna find in my messages? Like, what's your smoking gun here? You got it. You got it, dude. We're acknowledging it publicly. We'll keep all of our YouTube files. We will keep all the video files. We'll keep our messages, our logs, our tweets. Okay? Our tweets. You can show that I meant what I said, but I can explain why these things take sexual questions. Again, this is just intimidation tactics. They obviously cannot answer any of our questions with emphasis, which completely removes them from explaining. They're being so mentally anguished they can't just simply assert the truth. Dancing around things that nobody cares about. Nobody cares. You should call the radio on psychos. It's just letters. They didn't care obviously what the jury was to him as a homosexual psycho. They were so. So a lot of people used to say, psychopath. That was soon. Like, he's really serious. He's coming to Tennessee. Do it. So wasting your time is yours. Go file the lawsuit. Okay, the entire world wants to know the answer to the question. And I see I already know the answer to the question. Like I said, we are peeling the layers of this onion very slowly. Over 20 years ago, it's yours. Calgary, almost all of it. Yes, the entire world. What you're doing right now, okay? Because this is what you did. We're going to reveal your legal strategy of not addressing the elephant in the room. She complained about things around it. She said psycho. She said, oh, he's a psycho. And then she said that he's so hurt, he's anguished. You're pathetic. Okay, you're absolutely pathetic. This letter is pathetic. So you send me back a letter and then quote me saying that it's pathetic, just know I'm going to stand by that too. Okay? I believe in Satanism. I don't think it's a figment of anybody's imagination, first and foremost. So good luck with that in American court, especially in the South. You still have faith, you know. And good luck trying to figure out psycho when tons of people have reported in the press that you are psychopathic and they saw that. Tons of people wrote about that, and you will never have proper evidence for my opinion. You tried to pursue eventually married in 2007, right? I believe she's a man. How many more times can I say it? How many more ways can I say it? Can I say it in French? Got it in French? Should I learn a little bit of French to say it in another way? This is just getting ridiculous, okay? The entire book is not taking attention. And you will appreciate it if you're staying up late to watch this. The Elise Palace, probably all the throne, probably sitting next to your next VR agents now that you've suffered because things are becoming apparent about her history. I know that you're worried about this, not because of somebody calling you a psycho. I'll fix into the G7 leader get, okay? But you're worried about the substance. You're going to get to the substance. The entire world is going to watch us.
You a fellow entrepreneur?
There's I view them as responsibility. I view them as fans. I view them as like we are concerned. Right to go it's running in the process. I'm very concerned with
Issues?
Shipping. You can just give a gift support us that way, or you can sign up for all of our paid drinks on CandaceOwens.com. I deeply appreciate it. We are aware that everything that we do, we take a tremendous risk. We feel that it's necessary for us to protect children. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, protecting children from people that we believe. And I believe that Regina was a predator. I believe she is a predator. That she's manipulating the press and manipulating the courtrooms. It's predatory. Manipulating journalists, trying to shut down speech, all of it's predators. So that is our first thing. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 1. I can tell you that. Remarkably, we are not getting any fair coverage from their mainstream media apparatus. Check out all these headlines, man. They are rolling in. They do seem to be a bit panicked. You can also cut over here for the English speakers so you can see these headlines in English. I personally like the one from Nice Maton the best. It reads, what does conspiracy theorist Candace Owens' absurd and transphobic investigation on Brigitte Macron, which is a hit on YouTube, contain? I like the band that it's a hit on YouTube. And also, just a question back to that, how can I be transphobic if Brigitte Macron is not trans? Weird. Also, this other publication that's mentioned here, Marianne, right at the bottom, they may have jumped the gun a bit. They're at the bottom, quote, all the contemporary theories of cover, pedophilia, satanic delusions, or even false identity.
You're free of your state.
Yet many claim to
Anything
have
else?
false identity. Weird. They know that we don't know. It just seems like the press right now doesn't know, so we should probably find out who that might be. Welcome back to our series on energy.
Request. Please carry
Sounds easy enough. Let's get moving.
They were taking a break from the very dark publication. They did have a couple of stories, but first we're taking a brief break from that. One of the biggest mainstream media lies, okay, is that the rumors surrounding Brigitte were developed
We're due,
by
and let it be.
conspiracy theorists. They keep throwing that word out. It's a conspiracy, as though someone put together a thread on Reddit or on the dark web, and that's the reason why you all just started believing everything. And it's not true. Not me. It's not true. So I want to tweet out what actually happened.
Who
Exactly mentioned yesterday, intentionally spun down images. Reload back. Unable access. Constantly pushing back. Fans are responding. They called around playing.
Right.
I'm actually going to
Perfect.
read
Tell me about that.
some published lies that ISIS is actually money published the mainstream media just lies to us all the time. Okay? Quote, around the age of 14,
Verifying location. We made it! Request. You may set me down now. Analysis. Underground scan complete. Location suitable for digging. Confirmed possible option for relocation. Gratitude. Thank you for your assistance. Please accept the forthcoming reward. Additional request. Scans from other drones are necessary to reach total survey completion. Other drones will likely suffer the same propulsion issue.
Underground scan, huh? Well, guess I'll look out for more survey drones. there's the wild one.
Probably done swearing.
Guess she
Any
wasn't
tally
crazy.
birds looks like
Better trail that ship to see
many
what's down.
furs and some jackets. You know, unfinished dresses. All guys, the mainstream media says it's true. I guess it's case closed. We might as well stop this investigation. What do you want? Hottie with a body, man. I sure hope I look like whatever the heck was at the age of 3 with people drooling over themselves. But it didn't stop there. The case was really close because in 2018, she was at the head of the celebrities department at the magazine Closer, published the quote-unquote official biography of Brigitte, which was entitled Brigitte Macron Chi, okay? Which means in English, the free woman. Look at that cover. Wow, she's free. Amazing. Look at that face. She's happy. She's glowing. And it was essentially really a book that was just a regurgitation or everything that I just said to you. Everything's already been published. And I'll tell you why this was immediately considered a departure from previous authorized biographies of First Lady or President. And that's because there was absolutely no pictures provided of Brigitte Macron as a child. And there were no pictures provided of her as a young mother. In fact, the earliest picture, okay, is this authorized entity was from Brigitte was already teaching at that time. And the earliest photo that they included. Okay, so they just went ahead and decided to increase the first 20 years in this official biography. Then 6 months later, in June of 2018, a woman by the name of Virginie normally focused on creating documentaries about World War II and the Holocaust, essentially turned the book, a biography of Brigitte, into a documentary, which was entitled Brigitte Français, which just means French awesome. That was released on the France 3 channel. Now, I should mention to you, this is a government-owned channel, and it's created in 1969 and Fox the President. This is like PBS, BBC, and we are not in conspiracy shit. This is a reputable woman doing a part to make documentaries, and of course, documentaries are supposed to include a ton of photos. Think about whatever you were watching when you were coming up. For me, getting Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera documentaries, just filled with photos. When you're watching this, and you're seeing their siblings, you're seeing them at Disney World, and you're seeing them, doing whatever was normal for the time that they were growing up. Michael Jackson documentary, right? Tons of photos and siblings. And by the way, I want to make clear, Virginie and Hart did have tons of photos. Just, almost all of them again from Brigitte's teaching days beginning in 1986. It's ending in Paris in 2015, so I'm going to show you first showing you this collage.
This looks like they're gonna do well.
They saw people as a cattle to be harvested.
Reliably informed
Yet once they
reached Dozier was a hot, sexy irresistible legs who wore mini skirts, the kind of women that they could away from witnesses.
Unfortunately, they took travel like
Guys, is it because I'm not seeing it. I am just not seeing that teacher. Also, where are the mini skirts? Actually, she seems strangely to be wearing a scarf in a lot of these authorized photos. Why was she always covering her neck? That's kind of weird. I'll give you guys some close-ups of that. Maybe you guys are not thinking she's hot. There it is, guys, fellas. Honestly, the guy to the left of her is better looking, in my opinion. I don't know what's happening here. More photos, maybe. Maybe this one, guys. Guys are making some not nice faces here in chat. Okay, we'll keep going. Maybe there's going to be some sexy pinup rowers. Next one. Ah, there it is. No, there it is not. Skylar, are you only these are the ones from the documentary? Maybe my producer made a mistake. It what? Okay, I don't know, guys. I don't know where the number is. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I've let you down. Anyways, Virginie Lindhart, the documentary maker, like I said, is well respected. So surely she must have tried.
I love you, babe. Good night. I love you more.
Get many more
Please feel better, boo. And I can't wait for tomorrow.
photos before Brigitte's teaching years. If she's not a fraud, then that would have been the first thing she would have tried to do. Interestingly enough, she spoke out regarding just how difficult it was for her to make the documentary. She said, and I quote, "It's difficult to investigate Brigitte Macron, much more than I imagined, on the substance, on the form, on everything. As soon as I started making contacts, I was summoned by Pierre-Olivier Costa, Brigitte's chief of staff, and Tristan Bromet, Brigitte's other chief of staff. It was almost like a police interrogation. What do I want to show? Who will I be interviewing? I made a list of people that I wanted to meet, but I could not apply that list. The interviewees, apart from her former students, all had the authorization of the Elysee Palace and were very careful about what they said. There was a thick wall of silence. The level of control and checking is quite astounding. A documentary is a 90-minute, very personal portrait. Print ID photographs of young Brigitte Macron, small children, show an itinerary. Not those by this image agency. What must be released is anything to do with her former life. It's a total blackout. End quote. That's the image agency that's we just over that. That's news agency that was authorized for photos of apparently news agency authorized for this country as. Now, Virginie Lindhart did, however, receive 2 photos from Brigitte's alleged childhood. One, the public was told, was from Brigitte's then Trogneau, with her last name, first communion. Let me show you that photo. And another photo, now infamous photo, of the entire Trogneau family, allegedly taken about a year after Brigitte's birth. Okay, that is the full Trogneau family photo, which we'll go back to. So now, really, all that was missing from that photo of her communion until the school photos, which appear in 1986, was 23 years of Brigitte's life. The most crucial years of her life. You know, like, I don't know, her being a teenager, her getting married at 21, her allegedly having 3 babies, her getting married to a banker named Andre Louis Ozier, who was her husband of 32 years. Like, I don't know. Do people not take photos of them and their husbands in France? I don't know. Virginie Lindhart actually referred to Andre Louis Ozier, Brigitte's alleged husband of 32 years, as the French Republic's best kept secret. Certainly, you guys, it appeared that way. Because at the time the documentary was released, there was only 1 photo that was available of her ex-husband that had even made its way onto Wikipedia as her ex-husband. There it is, Andre Louis Ozier. You can see it has his date of birth, and it has his date of death, and it has the dates that they were married from 1974 and 2006. All of that is correct, except for the photo itself. Yeah, would you pull that up again? That photo, it turned out, was not actually Andre Louis Ozier, because a former student who had gone on to become a politician, his name is Francois Ruffin, also went to Providence School, and he came out and said, "That's not Andre Louis Ozier. That's Mr. Hugo, a teacher at the school. Oopsies." Yeah, whatever. But I can tell you that oopsie didn't make the public think, what's going on here, man? This is kind of getting weird. A little weird, okay? And I have to tell you guys, there was some immediate feedback from the public. Some early musings, if you will, about the 2 photos, which had been released from Brigitte's alleged childhood. Foremost, the communion photo caused a bit of a stir. Because many felt that it was a dead ringer, that photo, not of First Lady Brigitte Macron, who side by side here, Brigitte Ozier and her alleged communion photo. They didn't feel like that was strong, but they did feel that it was a dead ringer for her very chatty daughter, Stefan. but that looks like Tefan, okay? And like I said, she was the only daughter, the only child of Virginie that was willing to participate in the documentary. She was willing to speak to Virginia Ye for like an hour. And like I said, it doesn't help that the best image, the photo agency, had supplied the image. People were wondering, and I include myself in this, was it perhaps edited? No. Mimi, as we learn later on, has been accused of a lot of forgery and stuff and all sorts of crimes, man. You gotta look into Mimi Marchand, so it's not like totally crazy to wonder if maybe she's being used because she does play around a bit and she's willing to do crimes, you know? So yeah, it was in fact my musings about that was one of the areas of nitpick, one of the areas that the Macrones had included when they had initially sent me the first strongly worded letter, because I had claimed on a show dating back to March of last year that the photo was recolorized. Looked at it and I said, that photo looks too new. It looks like it's recolorized. Now, I was just getting into this bizarre story, and so I was just investigating, asking questions, reading other people's investigations. Now I'm a lot deeper on the facts, and I now know for a fact that that photo was not recolorized, okay? Similarly, at the beginning when I was trying to understand this case, I had asked Xavier Broussard about the theory, which a lot of people were wondering, which was, did the real Brigitte Trudeau die when she was a child? And did perhaps Brigitte Macron take her identity? Again, that was a theory that was floating around the internet. And I now know for a fact that no, she did not die when she was a child. So let's go back actually and take a look at their first carefully worded legal letter to me. It's their repeat strategy. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. The way that they sue people, the way that they go after people in court is they ignore the substance of the claims. The substance being, was current First Lady Brigitte Macron born a biological male? Yes, no question. And instead of attacking people to make a mistake as they try to garner an answer, and of course, this makes the you could say this photo is recolorized, and they go after her. Go after her. If she suspects saying that Brigitte Trudeau died as a child, go after her. So this is the legal letter. I'll show you that. They wrote, you're discrediting the photos is not only without merit, you're also internally inconsistent. In your episodes on March 11th and March 13th and June 17th, you claim that the first commune photo is an altered image of Tifone Ozier. However, in your August 3rd post, you agreed with Broussard that the photo depicts the real Brigitte Trudeau before she passed away at a young age, another falsehood. Now, I want to be very clear, Xavier Broussard has never said that Brigitte Trudeau passed away at a young age, but I may have asked him a question and speculated on whether or not she passed away, which they claim is another falsehood. Then they say both hypotheses could not be further from the truth. However, you alleged the commune photo had been debunked repeatedly, and that the press now states its attribution to Mrs. Macron was a mistake.
Great.
You have not cited any articles retracting the photo. Surely you would provide this devastating proof if you had it, but you do not. Okay. A little dance there. Why do they not just simply state the person in the commune photo is? Why not just say plainly, even after Candace, the person in this commune photo is not Tifone Ozier, and the photo is not recolorized. And it is, in fact, First Lady Brigitte Macron. They don't do that. They never do that. Why not also simply state what the truth is, rather than saying that the hypotheses are far from the truth? So, of course, now, leaving here on, I'm now armed with a much fuller picture of what happened, what the truth might be. So my legal team, as you remember, included a very straightforward test or no question back to the couple. They would think regarding the girl in the commune photo. I rewrote this, number 4. Is the little girl pictured in the commune photograph, allegedly from 1963, the Brigitte Macron that is currently married to President Macron? You guys know what happens next. Someone's angry. You said it was recolorized. You said Brigitte Trudeau had died when she was a child. Defamation. That's defamation. We can't tell you what the truth is. They knew by then, in first about the specific question we're getting, they knew that I was confident that I had gone through the investigation, that I had arrived at formal evidence. I was doing less musing, okay? Not for a single second did we believe that they were going to answer our questions. They have not yet. So just send us more letters and more ridiculous things where they don't assert what the truth actually is. Now, regarding the second photo of Brigitte's alleged childhood, which the documentary presented, let's take a look at it so you can understand what was so explosive about it. This full family Trogno photo of them in ambiance. Okay, observations again were immediately made by the public. People are allowed to think. They are allowed to have thoughts. They are allowed to ask questions. Okay. First and foremost, people thought they were being told that Brigitte is this little girl in the lap of her mother sitting here in the front. But the public, just quickly taking a glance here, thought, wait a second, Brigitte looks more like that little boy on the far left. And wait a second, who is that little boy on the far left? He's completely unaccounted for. Thus far, okay, leading up to this moment, despite so much press surrounding Brigitte, her life, her married life, her being a teacher, despite entire genealogical websites that were dedicated to her family, there was no mention on the genealogical websites or in the press of the boy on the far left, okay? So that became the dog that wasn't barking, okay? Clearly, there had been only one brother that was publicly accounted for, Brigitte's older brother, shown with the face again. He is the one standing in the back. That is Jean-Claude. And the interested public were now being introduced suddenly to a certain mysterious brother.
I'm the
And
new
to find
muscle
out
or whatever.
his name,
Great.
Jean
Another good beat.
Michel.
You know anything about thermonuclear compounds? Flash radiator analysis? Bomb tickets?
First, just to grow into our
No.
amazing sponsor to free word, if you want to hear stories from the worship Hill
When it
Worship
comes to
Tree,
explosives,
which provides women
your
the
job
second
is to
opportunity
follow
to choose
directions.
free babies start
Sounds
time.
easy, but the last
We
time
join our
some
Sundays for
issues,
ministry to
issues
the
have
power
gotten
of
blown up into
first and
little
first.
pieces.
You might be aware
Form
is that
up
even
like
though
practice
Russell was
orders.
overturned,
You can handle
worship
that
has been
hotshot?
greatly restricted in many states.
Easy.
The abortion pill has superseded surgical
Alright.
abortions,
Then
accounting
check
for
out that
over
home.
60% of all abortions.
You should see a bunch of
Pre-market
complicated
clinics are
switches.
unified
It may look
regardless
confusing,
of our
but
they
trust
trust
me,
them
I know
God's
enough.
love and
I'll
free
call it out
services to help them
instructions.
choose life.
You do what
Through
I say
ultrasound,
when I
worship
say
health
it.
first
Run
protocol
the clock once you
programs to over
interact with the
300,000
Start whenever
lives.
you're ready.
Start this new year right by supporting life and by donating
You're
a free
ready.
word today.
Punch the button.
One ultrasound is just $28. $104 will help rescue 5 babies. Donate, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Again, that's pound 250 baby. You donate securely by visiting freeborn.com/Candace. Again, that's freeborn.com/Candace. Also, it's not people agree because the family spent years forcing mandates and dictating how we manage our health. Now they're pushing back. We try to take control of it ourselves, and that's why we need to reclaim our own health with field of dreams. We all know eating healthy isn't easy, and to stay healthy when life gets easy and sticking to a perfect diet is always realistic. We live
I had my doubts about you the second I saw you. You gonna prove me
right
right or prove me wrong?
just
You know the drill. When you punch the button, be ready. Stop rocking between your ears. Just follow instructions. One more time. You know the drill. When you punch the button, be ready.
Right now, if you're spend 20% off to get started, go to fieldofgrace.com and use my code Candace.
Flip that switch.
Candace.
I thought you could handle this.
Just
Well, come on, start over.
now, since it feels
You know
like
the drill. When you punch the button, be ready.
and these are research journals. I don't know what I did from here. I'm presenting it to the world.
I thought you could handle this.
So if there's
Well, come on, start over.
time,
You know the drill. When you
the
punch the button, be ready.
immediate interest in it, it just keeps scaring everybody as like far right.
Flip that switch.
Essentially, the scares many of these people are subject without getting
Shoot the panel.
because they themselves are feminists. They said,
Pull the
we all
lever.
this woman, and they realize something is very important.
Shoot the panel. What was that? Failed. Run it again. You know the drill. When you punch the button, be ready.
It's not just
Flip that switch.
because it's
Shoot the panel. Pull the lever. Shoot the panel. Flip that switch.
In the Department of Social Interesting Bonds.
Every possession counts. Try again. Faster this time. You know the drill. When you punch the button, be ready.
Man also has a ton of history dating back to Middle Ages because it is the ancient
Flip that switch.
to be clear.
Shoot the panel.
Until
Pull the lever. Shoot the panel. Flip that switch. Melee the button. Pull the lever. Melee the button. Flip that switch. Wow. Hard press, but it's good enough. Welcome aboard, I guess. You could call me Kilo. I'm next. For now. Anyway, get out of here. I've got a practical job.
Not much socialized. Later, he maintained an air of mystery. No one knows of any close friends of his eight students. He had a very striking really like argument. Geez is similarly. Journalists who have tried to cover the subject have all fallen back on cross portraits for lack of material, testimonials, photographs, etc. The information that could be gathered can be summed up in a few lines. Xavier Guazarda says, born on December 21st, 1977, Amiens, Emmanuel Macron spent his childhood on Rue Gautier de Quilly Street in Henryville, which is the upscale district of Amiens, in a house that was bought in 1982 by his parents, Jean-Michel Macron, a neuropsychiatrist at Amiens University Hospital, from a Picard family, and Francois No, that would be his mother, a pediatrician, became his larger social superior. Pause before I jump into Xavier's script here. His picture, his dad, his mom is a doctor to children. Interesting combo. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying for right now.
Should be a busy
Say
day.
hello. Her family originates from Mrs. Francois Snook, his mother from Bang-the-Ray, and that is in the hot Pyrenees region. I'm going to talk about that later. The couple had two more children, so Emmanuel, born in 1977, then came Laurent, born in 1979, his brother, and Estelle, his sister, born in 1992. Both physicians before divorcing in 2010. Emmanuel Macron also has a half-brother. His name is Gabriel. He was born in 2005 from his father's second marriage to a woman named Colleen Jolie, also a psychiatrist at the Institute of Educational Medicine in Salm. Okay. Now, in 2017, Emmanuel Macron released his own autobiography, which was entitled Revolution. Okay. That similarly provided very few scant details about his background. It was actually Sylvie Bonnell, an independent journalist who writes for Vanity Fair. Again, we are on Reddit threads, guys. We're not in the deep web. Who summed up his autobiography this way. This is what she said about his autobiography. In Revolution, Emmanuel devotes 5 pages to his maternal grandmother, only 1 to his parents, and 2 lines to his brother Laurent and his sister Estelle. Nor is there any mention of his half-brother Gabriel, born in 2005 from his father's second marriage, and even less of his father's companion Colleen. Conversely, he strenuously mentions the first names of Brigitte's 3 children and their spouses, as well as those of her 7 grandchildren. She has since had an 8th one. On the day of the inauguration, the Oziers were the only ones to tread the red carpet leading up to the Élysée Palace. Tifon, Lawrence, Lawrence, the Elegant, and their brother Sebastian, all accompanied by their spouses and their children. The estrangement is reciprocal. In 2014, a colleague of his brother Laurent at the hospital asked him if Macron, working with Francois Hollande at the time at the Elysee Palace, was a close relative. No, he's a vague cousin. Everyone's bugging me about this guy, replied his brother Laurent. Okay, maybe Laurent just didn't want to be asked about a question about a minister and just said that. Weird. Then a woman named Nicole, who is a first cousin of Emmanuel's mother, Frances No, similarly told a reporter that she hardly ever saw Emmanuel's alleged sister, Estelle. That's very weird, okay? Sylvie Bonnell, again, a journalist and a fair writer, reputable mainstream media, also said this. She said, quote, I had a hard time finding Emmanuel's friends. He never talked about his family. We are hard-pressed to find any photos of his early years. When, as a grown-up, he launched his presidential campaign, many political analysts noted that his communications were inspired by Obama. Even if this is the case, he has neglected his early childhood. Anyone interested in the former United States President Obama can have with emotion at baby Barack in a romper suit, the chubby kid wielding his first baseball bat, the kid with just lost